What's poppin', everyone? This is SaberWolf94. Got a pretty cool deck profile to show you guys today. A deck that I've been having some pretty good fun with, actually. I call this, well, it's basically Gliscor Lycanroc or Lycanroc Gliscor. Pretty straightforward fighting deck for the most part. Uh, it's gonna revolve around, well, Lycanroc and Gliscor for the most part. Those are the main attackers anyway. So let's look at the purpose of this deck a little bit. So, Lycanroc, I wish I could make a deck with more focus around this guy because I think he's pretty good. Not only is he cool, he's pretty good, I think, you know. But I only have two, so we're using it as a sort of backup attacker, I guess you could say, in this deck. I mean, he does become the main attacker a lot of the times, but anyway. So Lycanroc GX is a pretty good Stage 1 GX Pokemon. 200 HP, pretty standard, pretty good, and has two fantastic attacks and a fantastic ability. So Bloodthirsty Eyes is basically when you evolve this Pokemon from your hand, you get to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So it's basically like a Lysander if you want to go back, you know, Luxray Gia Level X, Bright Look, which was the most, along with Garchomp, the most dominant, the most powerful Pokemon in its era, that really left an impact. And if you even want to go way, way more back, Gust of Wind, another super broken card that won millions of games. Okay, so Claw Slash is a solid attack, 3 for 110. I mean, of course, Salazzle's 2 for 110 is better, since it's quicker, but we can use double colorless energy, so it can also be quick. It's just that, in that sense, he is outclassed by Salazzle. But this is why he has some other better shit. And Dangerous Rogue is a pretty fantastic attack, to be honest. Does 50 damage times the bench Pokemon your opponent has. So if they have like just three, this attack does 150 damage for 2 energy. So that's very good, with a bunch of fighting energy, strong energies, since this is a fighting Pokemon, or a choice band and stuff. And some of the add-ons, you're gonna see the other add-on, the other ways we have for add-on damage. You could kill EX and GX Pokemon pretty easily. And shit, like if most of the time your opponent is gonna have 4 or even more, so it pretty much does 200 damage. Well, I don't really want to say on average, but it's very easy to hit 200 damage with this attack. You're really gonna use this attack and get one-shot kills. You want to use this attack to get a one-shot kill. You don't want to waste this attack and do like 100 damage or maybe even 150 damage without knocking something out. Maybe sometimes you're gonna have to, since you can power this attack quicker than Claw Slash. But for the most part, you want to do 200 damage and stuff and kill a powerful GX Pokemon in return. He's weak to grass. Okay, standard. The retreat cost is 2, which isn't great, but for the most part, this Pokemon is fantastic in my opinion. The great things outweigh I guess, really only one bad thing, which is the retreat. And it's not even all that bad, too. So pretty good Pokemon. So we're gonna have to run Rockruff to play Lycanroc. This is the only one I have. I don't know if there's another one from another set, another print. I don't think so, but maybe. Corner, your opponent's Pokemon can retreat. The active Pokemon can retreat. Maybe it can come up, but doesn't do damage. Possibly not really. And Wild Kick, yeah, it's not really gonna attack with this guy, but it's our basic Pokemon. Okay, so the other, I guess you could say, more main attacker is Gliscor. Now, this guy can be pretty cool, in my opinion. So 110 HP, stage 1 Pokemon, you know, We've seen better shit, but it's pretty good. It's pretty okay. 110 HP, stage 1. You know, it only has 1 retreat, so it's one of those light Pokemon, you could say. Most of the time, Pokemon, you know, stage 1s that have like 130 in HP or more, you know, they usually have heavier retreat costs. So it's also weak to grass, which kind of sucks. Would have been better if one of these two guys were weak to water. So, you know, you have that sort of a variety in weakness. But, you know, Gliscor's 110 HP isn't that high, so a lot of the heavy hitting Pokemon these days would kill it in one hit anyway. So it has two pretty cool attacks. Finishing Stinger does 70 damage for 1 energy, but your opponent's active Pokemon needs to have damage counters. Otherwise, this attack doesn't do anything. So if you straight up evolve to Gliscor and want to do 70 damage, if they're not hurt with at least 10 damage, 1 damage counter, you won't be able to do anything. So, how do we solve this problem? Okay, well, we have Gligar, which is attack double shot, does 10 damage to two of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So, this is something that I guess has some sort of synergy because it spreads damage and is a cheap attack for a basic Pokemon. And you'd think that it'd help, but because it's exclusive, it has to be exclusively on bench Pokemon. You won't be able to hit your opponent's active Pokemon, which kind of messes things a little bit. You know, you gonna hit the bench guys if they're even there, and the active doesn't have damage on him. So when you evolve to Gliscor, you still can't attack. If it did 10 to 2 guys in general, this would have been good. But since it's only on the bench, you know, it can help, but you know, you can't really rely on this to be able to use Gliscor's 1 energy attack. But, you know, still a pretty decent Pokemon, 70 HP basic, double shot, can be useful in the beginning. Okay, so the main thing you're going to use is the Golbat slash, you know, Zubat Crobat line. Unfortunately, we do not have Crobat since it has rotated out. The only reason these guys are around, even though they're from Phantom Forces, it's because they got reprinted in the Generation set, I'm pretty sure, as, you know, the original Bat Pokemon. Okay. But they're still pretty good, you know, Golbat is still pretty good. Uh, Even though we don't have Crobat, it means that we get to have more space, which does make a difference, it does matter. So, Zubat, you know, 50 HP, weak to lightning, okay, that's pretty cool. Resisting fighting, alright. Skill Dive does 10 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, alright. This can also help us spread the damage around. But Golbat, the thing we want to evolve to, has Sneaky Bite. And this puts 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. Thus, you know, softening them up and setting up damage for Gliscor's attack to work. You know, it also helps with things like with things that I've mentioned, you know, helping Lycanroc get some kills. You know, even with Claw Slash, if you use Claw Slash, have a choice band, you know, maybe you have 1 or 2 fighting strong energies on. I mean, even 1, in conjunction with something like Golbat, you know, you could kill 170 HP, you know, GX and EX Pokemon, I'm pretty sure. You know, so there's little combos you can do like that that make a lot of difference. So this is the partner we're going to use with Gliscor, and it works. And the cool thing about this guy is that you can use his attack too, Golbat's attack, Swoop Across. For 1 energy, does 10 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So if they have like 6 Pokemon out, like they're active and 5 bench Pokemon, that's 60 damage total for 1 energy. So that's kind of cool. Uh, you're going to use this guy as a backup most of the time. You don't really want to attack him, but sometimes it does come up. You can attack with him. This deck is pretty cheap. You know, most of the guys run on 1 or 2 energies, especially if you consider double colorless energy. You know, you can use Claw Slash with 2 attachments. So sometimes you do get to attach a Golbat, an energy to Golbat. You know, you have that luxury. And you can spread damage this way as well with for Gliscor. Free Retreat is fantastic. You know, we get to use this guy as a switching dude when one of our guys gets knocked out. You know, you just promote Golbat, and depending on what you do next turn, you retreat it to the appropriate Pokemon. So that's basically the main Pokemon that are gonna attack and support, I guess. Uh, the other ones are pretty generic. I do run my Mime, like I do in most decks, for bench barrier, and Tabulator for consistency. And of course, it can also attack with Energy Drive. Since we're running double colorless energy as well, you know, it's pretty cool. Okay, so now for our other cards, trainer cards. So for consistency, let me start with the supporters. I do run the Bridget. You can basically get whatever the hell you want in this deck with this card. Besides the evolution pieces, pretty good supporter. The 3N, 4 Sycamores. I decided to go all out with the Sycamores since we can afford to ditch some things in this deck. And we kind of do want the speed. We want this to be a speedy, you know, attack early kind of deck. Professor Kukui, maybe I would run more if I had of this guy. There's not a lot of great supporters these days with the rotation and stuff, especially considering that I don't have all the cards too. But, you know, Professor Kukui is kind of good. The 20 more damage can matter, get you kills and stuff, like I've mentioned. And it's straight draw too. I do run one Shauna, you know, it's pretty solid, uh, especially in this kind of a deck. We probably won't have a big hand, I think, so we can afford to use it and maybe thin our deck and draw. Oh, and Skyla, I do run one Skyla. Maybe you could run two, but I feel like, you know, when I think about it, I should run two actually, but I feel like there's not really a lot of great item cards to search in this deck. Um, yeah, so I think one is good, but you can also do two if you like, it wouldn't be bad. And get rid of maybe one of these two guys. Team Flare Grunt for some disruption, and Delinquent for hand disruption, which we can use pretty effectively in this deck since we run our 3 stadiums. Brooklet Heal works great in this deck. Gonna let us grab a fighting Pokemon every turn, basic fighting Pokemon, you know, and eventually your bench will fill. So this is why you can afford to use something like Delinquent, even if your opponent doesn't have a stadium. And Parallel City is also pretty good. Uh, it doesn't affect you you know, minus 20 damage in your attackers, and you can fuck with your opponent's bench this way. It does seem like it kind of conflicts with Lycanroc's attack, but you know, it really doesn't matter. You should know what you're doing if you're playing this card. And yeah, 3 stadiums, Delinquent should be pretty live. For other sorts of disruption, we have Enhanced Hammer. I'm running a lot of these disruption cards because this sort of deck, has a lot of space, and you know, Pokemon function on one energy. You know, we don't really, you know, I don't know how to explain it. You know, use Sycamores and hope to draw a lot of energies for Magnezone and stuff like that. Once you get going, once you have a bunch of Pokemon set up, you can afford to just not use a draw supporter and just use a disruption supporter like Team Flare Grunt. So now for, you know, other items for consistency, you know, you have your Nest Ball here, pretty good. We have Evo Soda. I think this card is pretty good to get a Gliscor out. Uh, you don't want to get Golbat since it doesn't get its ability, and Lycanroc too. Lycanroc, maybe sometimes you want to get this guy and not use Bloodthirsty Eyes, so you know that could happen. But it's mostly here for Gliscor and consistency. Just one copy, I think it's pretty good. Other searching cards, you know, your Professor Letter, standard, and Energy Lotto This is to hopefully hit one of our special energies. We do run a lot in this sort of deck. You'll see in a sec. Field blower. Get rid of those items in stadiums. You know, maybe we want to get rid of tools on Garbodor so we can have our abilities. And you know, pretty standard. Super Rod, Rescue Stretcher. Cards that I run. You guys should know my skeleton by now. My switch and my floatstone. I do run a lot of the same skeletons in my decks. And I think that's basically it. You know, the choice band also. I would probably run more of this card if I did, but I only have one. Finding Fury Belt isn't really going to work. Most of our attackers are stage 1. Well, all of our attackers are stage 1 besides Tapu Lele. But for energy, we do have to run our 4 special strong energy. This card, even though you open yourself up to Enhance Hammer, is pretty strong. It makes a big difference. It's the card that makes fighting decks really cool, really good. Well, good, not cool. They're cool either way, but it is a cool card. I mean, look at it. But, you know, since you function on cheap energy attacks, you know, you can just attach a strong energy and straight up attack with Gliscor. You know, it should be pretty okay. I mean, with 90 damage, if you combine this with strong energy, you're doing 90, so you should be able to get 2-shot kills on GX and EX Pokemon. So it's pretty good, you know, it makes a big difference. 3 double colorless energy. I never really usually go all out with this. Really, you want this for Lycanroc, but you know, we can also do 1 fighting energy, 1 double colorless, and just do 90 damage for 2. That wouldn't be bad. Sometimes you do want to do this. Maybe if you're ahead a little bit, it's not bad. I guess I didn't mention really Guillotine, but it is a solid attack since you can combine it with double colorless energy on a stage 1 Pokemon. You could use it. You will use it actually. You know, but you can run 4 if you like. It's just for the most part I want to use Finishing Stinger, be able to use Finishing Stinger, and you know, use the double colorless energies on Lycanroc. And the rest is just, you know, fighting energies, regular fighting energies. I guess we have 6 in this case. 13 energies. You can do 12 maybe, you can even do 11. I just decide to be safe with these numbers. But this is the deck, guys. It's pretty cool. It can probably be a lot better if I had, you know, other cards and, you know, maybe try other things. I'm sure there are other partners that can work with Gliscor too, besides Golbat. But, you know, it's been working pretty nicely with me. You know, I can't really complain. A lot of these tech cards can be replaced with consistency cards. And, you know, other better attackers and stuff. Maybe you can run 3 of these. I'm pretty sure I did run 3 of these at one point. Run more of these. But it can clog, you know, because once you play this, if they don't play a stadium, the other ones that you have become pretty dead. So I feel like 2 is a pretty good number. And the Ultra Ball, yeah, I almost forgot about Ultra Ball. Search as anything, but mostly going to be used for Tapu Lele. So this is the deck, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to post games with this, of course. It's pretty fun, I promise. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys subscribe. You know, do leave in the comments ideas to make this deck better or run maybe differently if you'd like. Hope you guys share this with your video, share this with your friends, share the video with your friends if they like Lycanroc and Gliscor. I think this isn't a common deck you see every day with these 2 cards, you know, but they work pretty nicely in my opinion. And yeah, what's up? What up?